Hi everyone, and welcome back to FPL Fix. Just 2 game weeks stand between you and your final rank for the season, so whether you're rolling the dice or clinging onto your rank, we've got you covered in this episode. I'm James, and with me as always is Patrick.
Hi everyone, just 2 weeks left to make it count. Let's do this. Before we look ahead to game week 37, we will take a quick look back over how our teams performed in 36, and I will start things off. I scored 53 points, so beat the average by a solid 10 and picked up another green arrow to help me finish the season strong. Starting from the back, Martinez and Gvardiol great for me, picking up 14 points between them. Munoz returned a massive 11 points too, but I picked Saliba over Burn, which meant that I missed out on an extra 10 points I could have had. In midfield, Salah was my only letdown. Rodgers, Murphy and Bowen all repaid my faith in them and combined for 19 points. My front line was really disappointing. I was busy at the deadline, so missed out on the Mamouche benching news. He only played for 10 minutes, but hit the crossbar, so was unlucky. Mateta was unlucky too, and easily could have scored more. He got subbed out in the 59th minute. My last striker was Isaac, who was also my captain. Was really disappointing. He never really got into the game and didn't produce anything in the 2-0 win for Newcastle. So, I picked the wrong captain, the wrong last defender, but I can't be too upset when I've climbed in rank again. How did your team do, James?
Okay, my net score was 52 points this week, as I scored 56 but took a 4-point hit. I was always planning on bringing Haaland in for Isaac if I thought he was going to start against Southampton, but when I saw Marmouche was benched as well, I wanted to deal with that, but didn't have the funds to do a straight swap. So going into kickoff on Saturday, I was really confident. Haaland then inexplicably blanked against Southampton, but I was lucky because I was close to captaining him as well. Edison picked up another clean sheet in that game, which helped, but Aït-Nouri, Minter and Wissa all blanked. Robinson was nowhere to be seen. He was out of the Fulham squad, but I got the 2-point Kirkes auto sub instead of the 11 points from Dan Burn, so that wasn't ideal either. Decore, who I benched, picked up an assist, and so the only saving grace for me was that my captain Mbeumo didn't blank. He got an assist, but the 12 points through captaincy really helped. On Sunday, I had to dodge bullets from everywhere though. I could have done with Chelsea busting the Newcastle clean sheet, which didn't happen, but everything else worked out for me. Isaac blanked, Chris Wood goal and bonus, Jared Bowen goal, Munoz 11-pointer and genuinely unlucky not to pick up more. Nottingham Forest and Liverpool's clean sheets were busted as well. On Saturday evening, I was expecting the very worst, but Sunday went much better than I could have hoped for, and I scraped through with the smallest of green arrows.
Couldn't have gone better for you on Sunday really. Nice that you managed to scrape another green arrow. Now, let's move on to game week 37 and we will start with the trending transfers. Starting with the transfers out, I don't like to see 2 of my players at the top of the list, Mamouche and Isaac. What are your thoughts, James?
Well, I sold both of them last week, so I'm fully behind the move. Marmouche might have lost minutes with the return of Haaland, and Isak's just not in form at the moment. We've also found out that Isak's still carrying an injury and due to have surgery at the end of the season. The thing is, we've got so many great striker options at the moment, so I'm not surprised to see either of them being sold. Cunha's next, and it's the same thing really. His minutes aren't fully guaranteed anymore, and he ended up costing Wolves their last match by causing the penalty.
Bruno and Salah are next, and they're the most sold midfielders this week. Bruno just about makes sense given Man United's form and then prioritising Europe. But Salah being sold still doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, I mean, he is the record-breaking point scorer this season, but form has definitely dropped off. We've seen images of the Liverpool players being abroad this week and relaxing in the sun, but I still think there's enough incentive for Salah with personal accolades to play himself back into form and end the season well.
Okay, moving on to players being bought, and Watkins tops the list with over 200,000 transfers in so far this week.
Yeah, I think with Villa's last 2 opponents being United and Spurs, Watkins is primed for a big finish. I really expect him to capitalise against those defences, and I'm almost certain I'm bringing him in too this week. Eze is next. He's been in fantastic form recently, but I just wonder how many minutes he gets following the FA Cup final on Saturday with just a 3-day turnaround.
Beto is third, and a player I've considered, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting minutes in the last game does put me off though. Bowen is next, and we both own him, and think is a great pick. He's even my top captaincy pick this week.
Kevin Schade is the last player on the list here. He's a player from the bargain bin, but he's returned incredibly over the last few weeks and been Brentford's top point scorer over that time. Okay, now we've seen who's on the move, just a reminder to give us a like and subscribe if you're finding this helpful. Now, let's see which players feature in the teams and players to target section up next. Starting with the teams to target, and you can see the graphic looks a bit different now with just 2 fixtures remaining. Aston Villa look the top team to target, West Ham and Liverpool take 2nd and 3rd respectively, Man City 4th despite their poor showing against Southampton, and in 5th we have Brentford.
Looking at the players to target, and starting in goal we have Martinez as a top pick here. He's been dominant in his last 2 matches, and with Villa playing 2 teams with only Europe on their mind, he could continue his great form.
Areola takes 2nd with the fixtures available and following his 8-pointer last game. Flecken is just behind in 3rd, but still a great option. Moving on to defenders, and the top pick for the 3rd week running is Gvardiol. He's been in great form and hasn't been far away from attacking returns lately either. Wan-Bissaka is next. He's by far West Ham's best defender for FPL with his assist threat, and he's picked up 12 points in their last game. The 3rd spot is close though, and could go to any of Digne, Collins, Bradley, or even Aït-Nouri or Cucurella because of their attacking threat.
In midfield, Bowen's a top pick. He's in fantastic form and has the fixtures to keep it up for the last 2 weeks. Rodgers is 2nd, the fixtures and the price make him one of the top options, and we expect him to keep ticking over. 3rd spot is close between Mbeumo and Salah. Mbeumo has continued to pick up points and is so heavily involved in everything Brentford do offensively. Salah and Liverpool's form has dropped off since they won the league, but I still expect Salah to return in one or both of the last 2 matches.
In strike, Watkins seems the standout option. Villa have the fixtures, Watkins should have the minutes, and being the focal point for the team, he should see returns. Haaland is 2nd, he looks a good pick and still a big differential. A lot of managers won't be able to get to him, but he could be a deciding factor if he can get back to his early season form for the last 2 games.
Wissa and Cunha are too close to call for 3rd. They both disappointed last game, with Wissa just edging Cunha, but equally, both of them could have scored. I expect both of them to finish the season with goals. Okay, so that's our top picks for the last 2 games. Now let's look at the team selection. James, why don't you start?
Okay, so I haven't made my transfer yet, but I'm pretty locked on my decision, so let's go through this. I'm starting Edison, who has a decent fixture and who plays at home this week, along with Munoz. Munoz might be a slight minutes risk as it's straight after the FA Cup final, but he's been pivotal this season, so I expect him to play. Aït-Nouri and Burn both play away this week, but offer decent attacking threat. I've picked Burn this week because he showed me up on my bench, and he's up against Arsenal, who might be blunt with no recognised striker available for them now. My midfield looks really strong this week. Salah plays away to Brighton, and Doucouré, Bowen and Mbeumo all have some solid home fixtures with great chances for points. In strike, I've got Chris Wood away to West Ham, and he managed to get back to goal scoring form last game. Wissa at home to Fulham, who couldn't score last time out, but should get a few chances following Everton putting 3 past the Cottagers in their last match. Haaland is showing as my last player, but I might move him on after just 1 week. He was disappointing against Southampton, might be a minutes risk after the FA Cup final, and I think Watkins has real potential in the last 2 matches, so he's likely my transfer this week. For captaincy, it will be Bowen or Watkins for me. I'll make a late decision on that. If I bring Watkins in, then he'll almost definitely be my captain. How's your team set up, Patrick?
In goal, I'm sticking with Martinez. He's in really good form and I'm really confident with him again this week. I have to show Burn some respect, and I'm starting him after his massive 11 points last match. The last 2 defenders are great picks. Munoz and Gvardiol have a lot of potential, but there's a slight risk on them with the FA Cup final on Saturday just 3 days before they play their respective fixtures in the Prem. In midfield, I've stuck with Salah, and I know some people have transferred him out for the likes of Palmer, etc. But I have no interest in that. I'm holding the record-breaking Egyptian until the end of the season. Rodgers has a great match at home to Spurs, and he's starting for me as well. I've gone with Captain Bowen, which I'm pretty locked on. Forest defence seems shaky at the moment, and with Bowen in form, I expect him to do well against them. My last midfield spot is with Murphy, even though I'm considering O'Reilly, who assisted 2 goals the last time City played the Cherries. Murphy has been more consistent though, and he's been a solid pick since I brought him in, and he's done enough to earn his spot. In strike, I've currently got Isak, Marmoush and Mateta. I'm not going to talk too much about them though. I've got 2 free transfers. I might use them both in strike. I've got my eye on Watkins, Cunha and Wissa, so I've still got work to do on my team before the deadline.
Nice, and if you need a cheaper option, it might even be worth a cheeky punt on Jamie Vardy to end the season as well. He's on 199 Premier League goals going into his last home game for Leicester, which is against Ipswich, so he's got to be worth a look if you want a cheaper option. And that's all for it this episode. Just a final reminder that the deadline is Friday at 6 PM this week.
Yeah, set a reminder and make sure you get your team locked in.
Yeah, speaking of reminders, don't forget to drop us a like and subscribe to the channel if you found any of this helpful. We always appreciate the support. You can check us out on X at Weekend Fix, where we'll be active ahead of the deadline tomorrow.
Thanks for watching and good luck in Game Week 37, and we'll see you next time ahead of the final game week of the season.